Hello, welcome to my Compound Life. I'm your host, Jonathan. Thanks for watching my video. Okay, so today is the 24th of November, morning time. I think I have a quick check on the Bitcoin price. It is currently at around 85,900. So hovering at the high of 85,900 to about 85,600. Okay, so definitely a drop in comparison to yesterday. I think yesterday's peak was around 88,100. So definitely a drop. So what's going on, right? Why the drop, right? So there's actually a CME gap that needs to be filled. Okay, so that CME gap, it's between 85.9 to 85.2, which it does seem we are trying to attempt to fill it. Okay, so a little bit of background. CME gap is the empty price zone on Bitcoin CME futures charts, created when spot price moved sharply over the weekend, which we obviously did. I think we hit about 88,100 at one point from the low of 82,000. Okay, so it does reflect that. So the price kind of moved sharply over the weekend while traditional markets are closed, right? So Bitcoin has historically filled over 90% of these gaps, acting as a strong magnet for price because institutions and algorithms treat it as unfinished business and needs to be filled. So price often return to close the gap before resuming for a bigger trend. Okay, so bear that in mind. Bitcoin price, it is currently dropping, very likely, possibility that it is to fill the CME gap. Okay. At the same time, do understand that from Asia perspective, Bitcoin obviously hasn't gone up to a certain desired price, so that's why the sell pressure is still pretty strong. Okay, then give it another few hours. I kind of felt UK, Europe, the buy pressure will never actually have much, implications onto the Bitcoin price, right? So the only thing that we can look forward to now will probably be the US market open. Okay. It does seem positive so far. I've seen some of the stocks like the Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft. The pre-market seem to be positive. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so that's the point of this video. It's to let you guys know that probably is a CME gap that could be affecting and not getting Bitcoin to go beyond 88.1 from Sunday, right? So hoping that things will get better by the time market opens later for us in the UK. So later in the afternoon, hopefully market opens, US market open. Expecting a better rebounds. Before I conclude the video, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening on social media, because ever since Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, by the way, I've got a lot of respect for Robert Kiyosaki. He obviously mentioned that he cashed out when Bitcoin was dropped to about 90,000. So his average was around 6,000 per Bitcoin, right? So I think good for him, because he obviously mentioned that, you know, there are things that he needed cash flow, so that's why he sold. Of course, he sold it with a very, very impressive profits too, right? So his average was around 6,000, or was it 9,000? I think 6,000 or 9,000, and then he sold it for 90,000 USD per Bitcoin, right? So I just want to highlight the fact that, you know, that there are a lot of people on social media are calling, you know, Robert Kiyosaki not walking the walk. You know, he's not doing what he's preaching, right? Because he's been very active to chat about Bitcoin, Ethereum. On the other hand, you know, he kind of sold it all, right? So from that perspective, that's not good, right? I do try to be as transparent as possible and try to post a video just to keep my 5 followers up to date on what the hell is going on, right? By the way, if you can become my 6th subscriber, that would be really helpful. So please hit subscribe, hit the like on your way out, right? So that would be really helpful for my video content. But at the same time, you know, coming back to Robert Kiyosaki, the author, I mean, I've seen a lot of people that were quite angry with Robert's posts, because number one, he somehow sold all his Bitcoin, and at the same time, you know, kind of shifted all that gains into some of the investments, such as for his properties, for his new business ventures, and so forth, right? And people are just angry. I think Bitcoiners tend to be very angry at some point. You know, they just want to see their Bitcoin price to go up, diamond hand and never sell. But I kind of approach things more differently. I think this is why the channel approach things very differently too. Bitcoin, of course, is a very important asset for me to gain wealth over a shorter period of time, right? But my true wealth actually came from the properties investment. And I've got to give it to Robert Kiyosaki, because I kind of read his book at a very, very early age, at about 16 years of age. I read his book and I was like, okay, maybe that will help me to build wealth. So as soon as I've gotten out from university, I started to acquire properties. Okay. At that time, it was like, yep, I got my first job. Let's get one property each year, you know, and play on the leverage, right? Because, you know, in the UK, I think we're blessed enough that the deposit to buy properties are pretty low, okay? And in the UK, renting out properties gives us a decent cash flow, right? So take into consideration, right, for you to put in 10, 15, 20% for a deposit, I think you can probably get away with just 10% deposit. That's pretty low, to be frank, right? And then for you to rent it out, even at current high interest rate, right, very likely when you rent out your property, the tenant will probably cover more than enough of your mortgage, right? From the rent. And from that sense, for many of my properties, I actually still have quite good cash flow, right? Some would be a couple of £100s, Some actually goes to 300, 400. Well, it all depends on your mortgage, right? So from that sense, I mean, when people are attacking Robert Kiyosaki because he sold his Bitcoin, I kind of felt, you know what, he's still a true winner because he won. In a way, he achieved significant good gains from his from his Bitcoin investment, and he's reinvesting that into his properties venture, his new business venture, and so forth, right? And that's something that we all need to consider, right? Because in this channel, we don't just talk about one asset, Bitcoin, right? We essentially cover many other assets too. And these are assets that would gives us significant return, but over a period of time, we might want to, once we've gotten enough wealth, we may as well want to chase after stability, right? So it all depends on your life stage, right? So that's what I want to conclude this video on. Okay, so there's no point attacking anyone, right? No point attacking anyone just because they sold their Bitcoin, okay, or Ethereum. It simply doesn't make sense. No one's gonna hodl through their asset forever and ever, right? Even myself, I always talk about have a hodl back of Bitcoin. Potentially these are asset, really, really hard asset, by the way, that you want to keep it for your kids, for your family, security, for your grandchildren, and so forth, right? But at the same time, I also want to highlight, you always have a swing back that you might want to do some trading, buy low, sell high, make some good gain that can help you to pay off your these are all of your lifestyle chips, right? That help you to pay off a lot of things. For me, I'll pay off my properties, I'll pay off some of my loans, car loans or whatever, right? Or take families on holidays so that I don't have to get up every morning and work extremely hard, right? And these are the things that I'm buying and funding through Bitcoin, take for instance, okay? So bear that in mind, take that into consideration. Bitcoin isn't just everything, isn't, if you catch yourself looking at the chart constantly every day, right? Bitcoin is definitely a very, very volatile asset. If you hold it for the long term, great, right? But if you, like myself, holding it for the short term, yes, we do have to pay attention, especially in critical time frame like now, that we need to get out of our swing bag, right? So essentially, don't get too carried away if someone starts selling Bitcoin, right? Be wise. Always be on your tap dancing shoes. At any point of time, if any asset that are capitulating, right, I'll be out. I'll be out immediately, right? Yeah, maybe I haven't been out immediately for my swing back for Bitcoin at 126K. That's something I'm learning to, right? That's something I'm learning to be more aggressive at taking profit when the asset price are at its peak, right? So that's definitely to take into consideration. Yeah, that's it I want to talk about, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Please hit subscribe and become my 6 followers or subscribers. Hit the like too, you do me a great favor, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.